Hi folks, and welcome back. This is episode 3 of the Black Powder Big Battles. Thought if we'd start off with some map movements and see if we can get some encounters going. The timeline is set at 4 AM and the 5th Division is already on the map, as are the Austrian brigades as well, divisions I should say. And everyone at the moment, their momentums are all set on 10, so there's no problems at all and no dice rolls to be needed to be rolled for anyone to move. So let's get it underway. It's now 5 AM in the morning and pretty much everything's cool. The French divisions are also starting to appear. On the table, the Austrians are pretty happy just to watch what the French are up to, and we're going to move on to 6 in the morning, and we pretty much got our first encounter, so that's pretty cool. That's basically the 5th Division bumping into the Austrian vanguard under Zelbritz. The vanguard itself is in and around the town of Schlep. So let's roll some dice and see what encounter we can set up. Hi folks, so we're going to roll some dice. You may remember this from the second episode. What we're basically looking at for this setting up the battles is the attacking and defending factors. It's basically a dice roll with, and these are the scores that you add to the dice rolls. So we're looking at the vanguard under Zelbritz, and they're going to be defending. He has a staff rating of 8 for the black powder rules, and so let's roll the dice, and he will add a 3 to the dice roll. 5, 6, 7. So he has a score of 8, and if we look down the bottom here, 7 or 8 gives him a score or a factor of B. I'll show you that in a second. We'll just roll the dice for the French division, and again the French division, he has a staff rating of 8, but this time he's attacking, so he gets a dice roll out of 3 as well. So 5, 6, 7, 8 again. So he has a score of B as well. So we'll take a quick look what this actually means. These are basically the strategies, casting from the attacking A, B and C and defending A, B and C. This gives the casualty ratings as a percentage for the division, and it's, as I said before, it's a break point, so regardless of any objectives, once the division has reached this break point, it's time to disengage from the battle. So if we look at the attacking side first, I'll read this just in case you can't see it. Advance onto the enemy, exploiting any advantage but not at a high cost. Can take casualties up to 50%. Important word, can. Obviously this is a very early encounter and the French are not interested in losing 50% of their 5th Division, so it's a very important can word in there. So it's basically set at 50%. The French division has 18 units roughly, and at 50% that is 9 of their units that could possibly leave the table before they have to do anything about it. Obviously I'm in charge of the French in this battle and there's no way we're going to lose 9 units, so if it's not going well, I'm going to disengage anyway. So if we have a look at the defenders in B, your position is good, but you lack numbers, and the enemy is advancing strongly upon you. So again, can take casualties up to 50%. So again, the Austrians, they roughly have a units of 10 units, so that's 5 units of theirs. So again, if they were to lose 5 units by withdrawing, breaking, running, whatever it may be, they would have to quit their position. That's roughly how it's worked out. Once I've put the units on the table, I'll show you the objectives for the game as well. And so the objectives tie the game together as well. So obviously, if you've gained the objectives before the end of the game, then obviously you're the winner. But obviously, if you're defending or attacking and you lose your casualties to 50%, you have to quit the battle anyway. So there you go. Let's put some figures on the table. Hi folks, and here we have the battle set up. Nearest to me on this side of the table is the 4 French brigades of the 5th Division, and we have, let's have a look, we have Compass Division, and then next one along we have Gerard's Division, Tate's Division, and right at the far end we have ML's Cavalry Brigade, which is only made up of one small unit, one standard unit of Hussars. If we look across the table of the Austrians, we have some Grens, some more Grens, Hussars, an artillery battery. We have one large Austrian line infantry battalion inside the town itself, with some more reserve artillery coming up. Over here we have some Austrian Jägers, and at the far end we have the other division, brigade, which is made up of 4 cavalry regiments. The main objective for the French is to take the town of Schlep and push the Austrians off the table. The Austrians' objective is basically hold on to Schlep for 8 turns. And obviously we set the strategies at 50% casualties. Obviously this is the first encounter, so probably both sides are not interested in losing that many troops. So that's pretty much the setup of the battle. These yellow dots here, numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4, correspond to the numbers of the brigades on the main battle map here for the momentum. So obviously if there's any adverse things happen to, say, Brigade 2, I put one of Brigade 2's counters into the pot of doom, I'm going to call it, then tally up at the end of the game to see what's happened to the brigade's momentums. Obviously that will have effects on the next battle on the actual table, but then obviously all of the brigade momentum damage is then tallied up, and we then add it to the division momentum after some dice rolls for casualty movements and things like that. So let's get on with our first battle. I'm not going to play the game live because it might take a bit of time. As you can see, the French are definitely outnumbering the Austrians considerably, full division against an advanced guard. Pretty much conclusion the French are going to win this one. It's just whether or not the Austrians can hold out for the 8 turns or hold the village itself. But as I say, I won't bring you every dice roll with it because I'm sure people will get very bored and switch off. So I'll pop in and out of the action as it happens. So let's start rolling some dice. This is the end of the second turn of movement. Down the bottom here, the first French brigade are going to be moving into the woods and try and brush the Austrian Grens out the way. The guys in the centre have just failed their orders on the second turn, so they've stopped dead. The French here haven't really done anything with them anyway, so I'm just leaving them as a reserve. The French cavalry is sort of moving up on the flank, the intention of stopping the Austrian cavalry from doing anything silly. The Austrians themselves have just been content with watching what the French are doing. The only movement they've done is to move their reserve battery up to the front, ready to start pounding the French. As of yet, no one's actually in range yet, obviously because 6mm, so I'm using centimetres instead of inches. So I'll back to you shortly. Here we're end of turn 3 and mixed bag of dice rolling. Only the central regiment moved up for the French, so not that good. Also had a bit of firing. The artillery tried to fire at the Grens, but very little success there. Everything else is pretty much out of range. This division, second brigade, I should say, had sudden spurts of which managed to get 2 moves in. Unfortunately, the rest of the brigade failed, so I had to use the division commander to move them, the rest of the brigade, up, as they only got 1 move, so they're a little lagging behind. Cavalry themselves have just trickled forward just a little bit. The 3rd brigade of the French are just sitting there waiting around. The Austrians, basically the only thing they've done is to move one of their cavalry regiments across. They don't like the idea of having the French that close. So yeah, all going well at the moment, and I'll be back soon. Here we are at the end of turn 4, so halfway through the game. Bit of a firefight going on now between the French and the Border Grens. Both sides taking a hit each. Artillery fire. The French took a hit from the Austrian battery on the road, and the cavalry battle down here. The French had the better of it. So at the moment things are looking pretty good, starting to hold up now. So say it's turn 4 now, so the French have only got 4 more turns. So back in a bit. And top end of turn 5, the French made contact with the Austrian Grens in the woodlands. Even Stevens, pretty much nothing happened. Terrible dice rolling. The other Austrian Grens unit, as well as the Austrian artillery, they've been pounding on these as they've been coming in. Pretty much no effect. Another appalling dice roll. But over here things have gone a bit awry for the French. This battalion here got a maximum hits. Have also gone into disorder, and going to have to roll their break test to see what happens to them. And 4, 5, 6. That's pretty bad. Let's have a look. Infantry, cavalry, shooting. Oh no, holds the ground. So no, it's just they don't break, but they just can't move. And the only other bit of news over here is that the French have wiped out one of the, or broken, I should say, one of the Austrian cavalry. So the pot of doom. It's even Stevens at the moment. The French got 1 for one of their units being disordered, and the Austrians got 1 for one of their units leaving the table. So that's the end of turn 5. Back to you with the end of turn 6. Top end of turn 6, and the Austrian Grens have been forced out of the woods. The French are pretty much in the woods, covered out. They had a disorder there, unfortunately, so I've had to put one in the pot for the French. The Austrians also picked up 1 for a disorder. In the centre, there's some serious pressure now on the Austrian regiment holding the village itself. And over here, round 2 with the cavalry. French took an extra hit this time, but they're still in the fight. Pretty good, all told. bring you the summary of turn 7. Top end of turn 7, and the Grens have taken the opportunity of the French going into disorder, disengage and fall back. The French pretty much, they're on the road now, so the woods have been lost by the Austrians. The Austrian unit here fell right back, went into disorder, and the French are pretty much in the town of Schlep as well now. The cavalry over here was even Stevens, still fighting on. The Jaegers that were here fallen back. They don't like the idea of being in a field with lots of French cavalry, and the rest of the Austrians have fallen back as well. So I think the Austrians not willing to lose too many troops. They've only basically lost one unit, so they're nowhere near their 50%. But it's turn 7, and the French numbers are starting to tell, so the Austrians are going to fall back. So basically, we'll call it here, and kind of a French victory. So I'm going to count up the chits in the pot of doom, not too bad, 2 each, and add them after a bit of dice rolling to the momentum bars of the brigades, and then as I say, after some dice rolling, I'll see if they end up on the divisions momentum as well. So thanks very much for taking the time to watch the first installment of the battles, and I'll bring you some map movements soon. Actually, if we quickly swing over, it's basically now we've had 8 turns, say, so it's now going to be 8 o'clock, so I'm going to advance the guys on a little bit further. That's the position at the moment at 6 AM, with the French brigades moving up into their positions. And yeah, all good. Quite enjoyable. Little small game, I must admit. Always good to start the game off. Don't want a massive encounter with the first game. Yeah, thanks very much for watching as always, and any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And as always, bye for now.